Dangote increases petrol prices to 955 naira per litre for bulk buyers. Troops rescue 18 kidnapped victims in Plateau State. Court of Appeal upholds Julius Abure as Labour Party National Chairman. And on the international scene, Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar voted for ceasefire deal in Friday's Security Cabinet meeting. Good evening. Welcome to Trust TV News Hour. I am Sumaya Abubakar. And now the details. The Dangote Petroleum Refinery has communicated an upward adjustment in the price of premium motor spirit, also known as petrol, to its customers, citing surge in the price of Brent, the global benchmark for crude. In an email statement on Friday, the refinery announced that its refined products would not or now be priced at 955 naira per litre at the loading gantry, marking an adjustment in its pricing structure. It's noted that marketers are buying between 2 million to 4.99 million litres will now buy at 955 naira per litre, while 5 million litres and above will buy at 950 naira per litre. The amount marks an increase of 55 naira or 6.17% from 899 naira 50 kobo per litre, announced as a holiday discount for Nigerians last year December. The refinery said this adjustment applies to all stock balances yet to be lifted. The Court of Appeal in Abuja has reiterated that Julius Abure remains the national chairman of the Labour Party. A three-member panel of the appellate court, in a judgment delivered by Justice Hamma Barka, held that its judgment of November 13th of 2024, which recognizes Abure as national chairman, subsists and has not been set aside by any court. Justice Barka made the declaration while delivering judgment in two separate appeals filed by Senior or Senator Etta Nenadi Usman and the Caretaker Committee and the Independent National Electoral Commission, the INEC. The appellate court in the two separate appeals held that it did not delve into the issue of the leadership of the Labour Party because such issues are not justiciable. According to the appellate court, anything that is done outside jurisdiction amounts to a nullity. Hence, the judgment of the Federal High Court delivered on October 8, 2024 by Justice Emeka Wite is of no effect because it was delivered without jurisdiction. While striking out the suit for want of jurisdiction, he held that the appellate relied on its previous judgment of November 13th last year to hold that Abure remains national chairman of the Labour Party. The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Gas, Eperikpe Ekpo, has announced that the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority and the Presidential Committee on CNG Initiatives are working to implement stringent safety measures to prevent future explosions. The announcement came during the presentation of the ministry's 2025 budget of 4.25 billion naira to the National Assembly's Joint Committee on Petroleum Upstream. The report.
During this session, lawmakers raised critical questions about the safety and reach of the compressed natural gas program. Senator Natasha Akpoti from Kogi Central emphasized the urgency of addressing safety concerns following recent reports of explosions and praised the ministry on existing safety protocols.
That Mr. President has a vision to ensure that the CNG program, gets to the grassroots. I want to find out, in your collaboration with stakeholders, for the conversion of vehicles to dual fuel or to LPG CNG, how much impact do you think you have been able to make in terms of percentage on Nigerians?
I would like to know, do we actually have programs? Are you conducting research? Because the explosions are actually quite many, and that has endangered life and properties.
Ekpo reassured lawmakers of the ministry's commitment to enhancing safety standards, citing the ongoing collaboration with NMDPRA and the CNG committee as a cornerstone of these efforts. Senator Victor Ume of Anambra Central sought clarification on when the gas pipeline infrastructure project would extend to southern Nigeria. highlighting the need for equitable access across the regions.
On what is happening to the midstream and downstream gas infrastructure fund, which have been fixed in various banks. I would like us to tell us what has happened to those funds and interest that have accrued in fixing those funds in various banks.
Involve the NMDPRA, the regulator, the standard organization, to liaise with the presidential initiative and ensure that for the installation of the equipment in the vehicle, in the conversion, it should be certified centers. So far, our investigation has shown that those ones that you have explosion has been done by illegal outfit, which we are working on making sure that they don't operate. So we are really on it.
Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Oil, Hennekin Lokpobiri, also provided insights into the broader energy initiatives under the ministry's purview.
The time has come for us to take our own destiny in our own hands. And what Nigeria does is to provide leadership for the rest of Africa. As Africans, we have agreed that, look, first of all, let us explore the resources we have, both oil and gas, to first of all get energy security before we talk about transition. After all, we are victims. We are not culprits. The emissions we're talking about, if out of 100% emissions, we as a continent constitute only 3%. When one country in Europe, UK, constitute 4.8%. It would be wrong for us to be talking about energy transition when we don't even have energy security.
In his closing remarks, the chairman of the Senate Committee on Petroleum Resources, Jarigbe Agom Jarigbe, adjourned the session, assuring the ministry that the committee would deliberate on the budget and provide feedback on due course.
The Abuja Electricity Distribution Company has explained that the power outage being experienced in parts of the Federal Capital Territory is due to faulty 132 kilovolt lines, that's 182 from the Katampe to 85 Central Area Transmission Station. The discos disclosed this in a statement on Friday through its official X account. AEDC said areas affected are Federal Secretariat, Wuse Zone 1 to 7, Central Mosque, Energy Commission, Transcorp Hotel, Eagle Square, Yaradua Center, the entire Central Area, TCN Headquarters, CAC Headquarters, NYSC Headquarters, INEC, the entire Maitama Kado Estate, parts of Jabi District, Area 7, 8, and 10, Gariki, and its environs. Although the discos did not state exactly when the power supply will be restored to affected areas, it said the Transmission Company of Nigeria is investigating the cause and fixing the blackout. Outside the areas listed by the discos, parts of Dawaki and Dutse, Zone 7, have been in darkness for over a day. Recall that AEDC announced a 2-week power disruption in parts of Abuja and Nasarawa State over the relocation of TCN, the 33 kV DC airport feeder, and the 132 kV Kukwaba Apo transmission line towers. No fewer than 5 persons have been killed in a fresh communal clash that occurred at Balegi village, a boundary community between Idanre and Akure in Ondo State. The incident happened in the early hours of Friday as the locals woke up to the shocking deadly clash which spread to other settlements in the area. The latest incident is coming barely a week after a similar incident happened between indigents of Owake and Ebo communities in the Akoko Southwest local government area of the state. The clash claimed 2 lives with lots of properties worth millions of naira destroyed in the fight, which occurred between youths and the communities. The spokesperson for the State Police Command, Fumilayo Odunlami Omisanya, is yet to confirm the incident. The troops of the 3 Division Nigerian Army and Operation Safe Haven have rescued 3 septuagenarians alongside 15 others from the kidnappers' enclave. The victims were rescued during an offensive operation carried out between the borders of Taraba and Plateau State. Operation Safe Haven Information Officer Major Samson Zakom told journalists at the operations headquarters in Jos that the rescued victims have been reunited with their families after profiling and documentation by relevant agencies. The operations also led to the apprehension of some of the criminals and the recovery of dangerous weapons, including ammunition and firearms. The troops said the released victims have been reunited with their family members after profiling and documentation by the relevant agencies. In Katsina State, the police have recorded significant breakthroughs in tackling insecurity. Among these successes is the arrest of 2 suspects connected to the tragic kidnapping and murder of a 12-year-old boy in Dankama town. The police have also apprehended fraudsters, a suspected gun runner, and other criminal elements across the state. Abdullahi Yamadi reports.
In Dankama town, Kaita local government area, the tragic case of a 12-year-old boy, Salihu Sadi, unfolded. The boy was kidnapped while running an errand for his mother. Despite efforts by his family to negotiate, the kidnappers refused to release him and eventually killed him. His lifeless body was found on the outskirts of the town. During an investigation, police operatives apprehended 2 suspects, Muttaka Garba alias Auta and Yusuf Usman alias Walwa, both aged 20. The suspects confessed to their involvement in the heinous crime.
The command has recovered the phone used to make the ransom demand as part of the exhibit in the ongoing investigation. The suspect will be charged to court upon the conclusion of the investigation.
In another operation, the police arrested a 24-year-old suspect, Aliu Isa, in possession of 2 counterfeit $100 bills. This led to the uncovering of a syndicate specializing in the circulation of fake currency. The suspect, while attempting to exchange the counterfeit notes for 300,000 naira at a bureau de change, implicated one Aliu Sani of Jibia, who was later arrested.
Further investigation led to the arrest of 1 Abubakar Sani, male, 2 Alhaji Umaru, male, and 3 Haruna Ibrahim, male, all of Sabon Garing Alhaji Yahuza village via Batagarawa local government area of the state, and the recovery of 990 pieces of suspected counterfeit $100 denomination currency and SEPA.
In a related development, a suspected thief, Abdullahi Ali, was apprehended by the convoy of Governor Dikko Umaru Rada while the governor was visiting an injured police officer at the Katsina Teaching Hospital. The suspect had vandalized vehicles and stolen 650,000 naira from a state assembly member's car using a master key. In another offensive against criminal elements, police arrested Ismail Isa, a 23-year-old vigilante member in possession of 15 AK-47 rifles magazines concealed in a bag. The suspect confessed to attempting to sell the magazines in Shuaki village, Bakore local government, for 900,000 naira to an accomplice named Manero, who is currently at large.
He further confessed to having illegally obtained the rifles during some joint operations in Kaduna State, and we are frantically working to unravel the circumstances surrounding the suspect possession of these magazines.
All suspects, according to the police, will be arraigned in court after thorough investigations. Abdullahi Izuma Yamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
In Kaduna State, a young innovator, Shamsuddin Jibril, has created a drone capable of detecting crop diseases and spraying pesticides on farmlands. This invention aims to combat the persistent challenge of poor harvest caused by crop diseases, providing a potential solution to enhance food security in Nigeria. The report.
Kaduna, the 8th largest city in northern Nigeria and the 3rd most populous in the country, relies heavily on agriculture, particularly cotton and groundnut production. It is also home to 24-year-old Shamsuddin Jubril, a young inventor whose ingenuity has bettered a drone designed to detect crop diseases and perform essential farming tasks. The drone scans farmland and transmits data to a smartphone, identifying crop diseases, suggesting treatments, and providing preventive measures. Constructed using locally sourced materials, the device can operate for an hour without technical issues. Shamsuddin's innovation was driven by the devastation caused by crop losses in previous farming seasons, which inspired him to create a solution to help farmers improve their yields.
On that app, it will show you the symptom of that and the treatment that you should do for that farm. And also it will tell you how the chemical you're supposed to use. Maybe, there's different type of chemical, a seed pesticide or for the gas or insecticide for the insect.
Beyond the security crisis in northern Nigeria, pest infestations account for nearly 80% of crop destruction, leading to widespread food shortages and inflation across the country. Farmers in Kaduna see Shamsuddin's drone as a promising alternative to combat these challenges, but they stress that support is crucial to fully realize its potential.
Zai babu mafa abu babu wannan dole za a sha wahala gaban mu ai.
If such support is not provided, one will suffer, because looking at his innovation, it will really help. We have suffered crop losses, like some of my colleagues didn't harvest much last year.
A matsaloli musamman na kwari fara kam da soki a nan.
Among these pests, grasshopper is much better, but there is a certain pest that consumes ripe crops. If government can support this innovation and makes it affordable for us, we will be happy. If properly supported, this innovation could revolutionize food security, improve farmers' knowledge of crop disease management, and significantly enhance agricultural productivity. Until then, Shamsuddin awaits the support needed to harness and scale his creation.
Now moving on to more stories, the Kano State Government and the Media Trust Group, MTG, publishers of Daily Trust titles, Armenia, Trust TV, and other platforms have reaffirmed their commitment to effective information dissemination. This was during a courtesy visit by the MTG's Group Chief Executive Officer Ahmed Shekarau to the newly appointed Commissioner for Information and Internal Affairs, Ibrahim Abdullahi Waya, at his office on Friday. Shekarau expressed gratitude to the Commissioner for granting an audience despite short notice, highlighting MTG's robust relationship with Kano State. He proposed enhancing collaboration through live coverage of key government activities, a weekly documentary on state initiatives, and a retainership agreement for curating the government's projects. Shekarau also emphasized MTG's significant reach, citing audience statistics and the company's commitment to quality despite challenges in the media industry. In response, Commissioner Waya welcomed the MTG delegation, expressing readiness to sustain and strengthen their partnership. The Minister of Works, Senator Dave Umahi, has raised concerns over the 800 billion naira allocated to his ministry in the 2025 appropriation bill, describing it as insufficient to fund ongoing federal road projects. Umahi made this known during the ministry's budget defense at the National Assembly, emphasizing the critical role of improved road infrastructure in enhancing security, commerce, and internally generated revenue. Here's the report.
Speaking during the 2025 budget defense, Senator Umahi highlighted the funding challenges facing his ministry. He noted that while the ministry achieved 60% implementation of the 2024 budget, which only began in August, the 800 billion naira allocated for 2025 falls far short of the amount needed to complete federal road projects across the country.
We played with you. 800 billion cannot do anything for us. It cannot. And so we plead with this house to help us. And you can see, even though the 2024 implementation started in August, but you can see that by December, we had attained 60%. So we want you to give us the appropriate funding for these projects and monitor us. Before 9 months, we would have exhausted our performance.
Umahi also defended the practice of borrowing to fund infrastructure, stating that when managed effectively, it can significantly boost the nation's economy by improving commerce and revenue generation.
When the public talk to the president, oh, you are borrowing money, we cannot, when this nation is in recession, you have to borrow money and do infrastructure. That's when you come out of recession. It is this infrastructure that is going to be a catalyst for economic activities. And then this hunger we are talking about will be a thing of the past. The food sellers will be there, those doing sharp sand, those doing gravel, and so on and so forth. So let people not think that they are putting money in Ministry of Works, they are giving it to my minister or my PAM secretary or myself. These are ongoing projects. We don't know the contractors.
The instrument of the budget is one of the ways, if not the most important instrument, through which governance impacts positively on the generality of the people. It is through the budget that our access roads are constructed, new schools built, health facilities improved upon, and opportunities created for society to grow. I therefore appeal to members to consider the proposals before us dispassionately, having in mind the paucity of funds which the MDAs have to contend with.
In a related development, the Committee on Nutrition raised concerns over the underperformance of certain agencies under Ministry of Health. Committee Chairman Chike Okafor questioned the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Health, Daju Kacholom, on the precise implementation figures for the 2024 budget and sought clarity on the proposed 2025 allocations. The committee emphasized the need for transparency and accountability in resource allocation to address pressing nutritional and health care challenges.
But one thing we know for sure is that some of the products that are supplied, some of the products that we use are supplied by partners. That one we know for sure. For instance, the NI, I'm sure, NI provides all the vitamin A that we need. That's one I know. But when we go through the budget of the ministry, you also see provisions made for the same items that I am aware. And the country representative of NI is from my place. Osita is my brother. All the vitamin A that we use in this country comes from there.
2.923-104-095 on nutrition. 2.923-104-095. And this is still to upscale on what I said earlier, the micronutrients, the vitamins, and the things that we need to do, as well as building capacity, because for the private sector, we are thinking of how they can come in, especially for RUTF, for the children.
The session concluded with assurances that both ministries would continue to work towards achieving their respective goals despite funding constraints.
Katsina State is taking a bold step toward modernizing its transport sector and reducing carbon emissions as Governor Umar Dukorada launched the distribution of electric tricycles for city transportation. The move marked a significant move toward promoting sustainable transport options and clean energy in the state. The report.
In a ceremony held in Katsina, electric tricycles, popularly known as Keke Napep, were officially handed over to the Association of Commercial Users of Tricycles for distribution to its members. This initiative is part of a broader effort to modernize the transportation sector, reduce carbon emissions, and foster economic growth in Katsina State. Governor Umaru Dikorada emphasized the crucial role of environmentally friendly transport solutions in creating a cleaner and more efficient urban environment. He described the electric tricycles as pivotal to achieving the state's sustainability goals, while addressing rising fuel costs for drivers and commuters. Electric tricycles are not only expected to ease the financial burden on operators, but also contribute significantly to reducing air pollution in urban centers, aligning with global efforts to combat climate change.
The recent announcement of a slight reduction in fuel price by the federal government has brought a glimmer of hope to Nigerians grappling with rising living costs. While the move aims to provide relief, its impact on transportation fares has become a focal point of discussion among residents in Birnin Kebbi, the Kebbi state capital. The report.
The reduction in fuel prices have been met with cautious optimism by the residents of Birnin Kebbi. While the initial impact on transport fares have been modest, operators anticipate that lower fuel costs will translate into reduced operational expenses such as vehicle maintenance and spare parts.
Higher of the fuel, this is the higher of everything. But the moment oil is reduced, so everything is very so easy. Tire and engine oil, everything is reduced.
However, passengers are eager for more significant fare reductions. They believe that the lower fuel prices should directly translate into more substantial savings on their daily commutes.
Yes, we did a 5.20 change. This time they collect for the 15-14 change.
Residents of Birnin Kebbi are hopeful that the fuel prices will continue to decline and the government will implement measures to stabilize the overall economy.
The fuel reduction, as I told you earlier, is supposed to have a positive effect on the transport cost. It is supposed to reduce the price. But when you observe the insignificance of the reduction, you observe that the reduction in the transport fare may not likely come down because it's not the only fuel that the vehicles consume. There's other derivatives that are there.
As the nation adjusts to the new fuel prices, the debate surrounding transportation fares remains crucial for both operators and passengers. The coming weeks will reveal whether this policy effectively alleviates the financial burden on citizens. From Birnin Kebbi, Cynthia Yongo, Trust TV.
Wristwatch repairers and users in Bauchi State, particularly the youth, have expressed divergent views on the proliferation of Android phones that come with clock apps that are now playing down the importance of traditional wristwatches and wall clocks. They noted that the old tradition of checking the clocks and watches is gradually fading due to the evolving and emerging technology. Trust TV's Adamu Imam reports.
Wearing a wristwatch nowadays for the sole purpose of checking time has become less important to some extent, while many may wear them as a compliment for their dressing. Residents of Bauchi, especially the youth, shared their preference for using mobile phones to check time while wearing a wristwatch for other reasons.
To me, wristwatches are still relevant because no day passing without me using my wristwatch to check time. Because of the nature of my work, I have plenty wristwatches because they give me confidence when wear them. So despite using an Android phone, they help me honor agreement with my customers. Right now, almost 60% of youths are not using wristwatches to check time because the advent of Android phones has reduced dependence on watches to check time. This is, however, not to say people are not using them, but seriously, people rely more on phones.
Let me check my phone. I usually forget that I even have wristwatch on my hand. Most times if you see people using wristwatch, it's mostly digital, and when they use it too, once you have wristwatch on your hand, I can basically say that it's basically for fashion these days. That's why people usually wear wristwatches. But it's very convenient if you can put it on, and you find out that a lot of people don't even like wearing it. They say it inconveniences them. So, but it's actually good because you don't know. There are times where your phone will not be there and you need to check the time quickly.
In the same vein, Aminu Dammasani, a well-known wristwatch repairer at Wunti Market who has spent over 50 years repairing watches, says despite the challenges of the times, technological advancement brings hope to life.
Despite the proliferation of sophisticated phones, people still use wristwatches to check time. I say this because we still repair them here, especially digital watches, which are not like the old watches. Even youths buy expensive watches and we fix the watches, they bring them here. So we thank God for our trade. Even as an old person, I am still using both wristwatches and handsets to check time. So both of them are useful to me.
However, Dammasani is appealing to the government and relevant agencies to always remember them during skills acquisition trainings to enable them sharpen their skills in tune with the 21st century.
In Adamawa State, over 23,000 livestock farmers have been empowered with essential inputs and machinery through a state-driven initiative aimed at transforming the livestock sector. The project, which promises to boost the state's revenue and promote peaceful coexistence between herders and farmers, was launched in Yola with strong support from the government and partners. Gibson Swadigo tells us more.
The initiative, spearheaded by the Adamawa State Ministry of Livestock and Aquaculture Development in collaboration with State Livestock Productivity and Resilience Support Project, commonly known as LPRES. Farmers across various clusters received critical items such as crush machines, chopper machines, mineral links, dewormers, molasses, milking cans, and cargo machines, all designed to enhance livestock productivity and resilience. At the project launch, the state coordinator of LPRES, Dr. Alpha Sekondi, reaffirmed Governor Ahmad Murufentri's commitment to transforming the livestock sector. Dr. Sekondi highlighted the state government's deliberate efforts, which have already created job opportunities for thousands of youth.
This is a deliberate effort to have a paradigm shift from the local way of productivity. Today, what His Excellency is looking at is turning the livestock industry revolutionary from the normal transhumance to sedentary way of production. And why are we doing that? We want to increase our productivity. By the time our pastoralists see reasons why their feed, which they go hither to out to look for, and water is domiciled in their community, then they will have no reason to travel long distance.
Sanusi Abubakar, the national coordinator of LPRES, commended Adamawa State for leading among the 20 implementing states of the Livestock Productivity and Resilience Support Project, noting its effective action plans and their successful implementation.
I wish to congratulate the beneficiaries of this wonderful gesture of support made to them by the government of Adamawa State and encourage them to use this opportunity effectively by making judicious use of these items given to them for the purpose of improving the livestock industry in their respective clusters and productive alliance.
Governor Murufentri, represented by his Chief of Staff, Dr. Edgar Amos, reiterated the administration's support for LPRES, the National Livestock Transformation Plan, and other related initiatives. He also emphasized the importance of fostering peaceful coexistence and cooperation between herders and farmers to ensure the sector's sustainable growth.
For us, livestock productivity is not only a major contributor to our GDP, contributing about 38 to 43%, it also means it's also a means of livelihood, employing our teeming population, especially women and youths. Fortunately, Our state is richly endowed with huge livestock resources, including cattle, sheep, goats, pigs, poultry, and fish.
Goodwill messages from traditional rulers, pastoralists, and other stakeholders further underscored the importance of this initiative to the community and the broader livestock industry. Gibson Soadugo, Trust TV News, Yola.
This is Trust TV News. The news will return shortly.
This is Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us on Trust TV News. Now, Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar confirmed that he voted for the ceasefire deal in Friday's Security Cabinet meeting, writing in a lengthy Facebook post that at this point in time, this decision must be made. In his post, Sa'ar wrote that he and Zaif Elkin of the Finance Ministry will vote for the ceasefire in the full cabinet meeting later Friday. Sa'ar acknowledged the ceasefire's critics in his post, writing that criticism of the deal must be respected, addressed and not dismissed. We cannot deny that risks are involved, he said. At least 2 members of Israel's cabinet have said that they won't vote for the deal, with far-right National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir threatening to pull his party's support for Netanyahu's fragile governing coalition if the ceasefire proceeds. However, mutual responsibility among the people of Israel obligates us to make the difficult decision, Sa'ar wrote. When the deal became public on Wednesday, Sa'ar described the decision before Israel's cabinet as a choice between bad and very bad, without saying whether he would vote for it. The Israel-Gaza conflict has entered its most devastating chapter yet, lasting 15 months and claiming tens of thousands of lives. With a ceasefire now on the horizon, the world watches closely as hopes and peace hang by a thread. In this explainer, Abdullahi Ahmed dives into the staggering numbers, the humanitarian cost, and what the ceasefire could mean for the region's fragile future. Take a look.
The Israel-Gaza conflict, which erupted on October 7, 2023, has evolved into one of the most devastating confrontations in the region's history. Over 15 months of relentless violence have claimed lives, uprooted millions, and reshaped geopolitical alliances. The numbers tell a harrowing story of human tragedy. In Gaza, more than 46,600 people have been killed, including a staggering proportion of women, children, and elderly individuals, while over 109,000 others have been injured. On the Israeli side, the conflict began with a deadly Hamas attack on October 7, 2023, claiming 1,200 lives in a single day. The average daily death toll has exceeded 100, underscoring the relentless and catastrophic nature of this war. To grasp the scale of the devastation, consider past conflicts. The 2008-2009 Gaza war lasted 3 weeks, claiming 1,400 Palestinian and 13 Israeli lives. In 2014, a 7-week war left 2,251 Palestinians and 73 Israelis dead. The most recent conflict surpasses both by far, with a death toll and duration that mark it as unprecedented in its severity. The humanitarian toll has been catastrophic. Nearly 1.9 million Palestinians, which is roughly 90% of Gaza's population, have been displaced, with entire communities wiped out. Over 245,000 homes have been destroyed, leaving families homeless and vulnerable. Critical infrastructure has been obliterated, with 92% of primary roads and 84% of health facilities rendered inoperative, paralyzing essential services and leaving millions without access to medical care or transportation. Now, the financial burden of recovery is immense. The cost of rebuilding Gaza's infrastructure and housing alone is estimated at $18.5 billion for the initial 3 months of reconstruction. This figure looms large over a region already grappling with extreme poverty and limited economic resources.
The IDF is one of the most moral militaries in the world.
After more than a year of bloodshed, a ceasefire has been announced, set to begin on January 19, 2025. This agreement involves a phased withdrawal of Israeli forces from Gaza, the exchange of hostages. Hamas has pledged to release 33 individuals in return for more than 1,000 Palestinian prisoners, and the establishment of a humanitarian corridor to provide critical relief into Gaza. However, the situation remains precarious. Just hours before the deal's announcement, Israeli airstrikes killed at least 71 people in Gaza, highlighting the volatility of the truce. Additionally, delays in Israel's cabinet meeting to approve the agreement, accompanied by accusations from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that Hamas is seeking last-minute concessions, further complicate matters. Hamas, meanwhile, insists it remains committed to the deal, rejecting Netanyahu's claims. This ceasefire is the latest in a long history of agreements between Israel and Hamas, dating back to 2007. These truces have been often fragile, providing only temporary respite while failing to address the deep-rooted issues that fuel the conflict. History warns us that such agreements frequently collapse, with violence resuming once temporary measures falter. The current deal is no exception, as tensions are already high and renewed attacks risk derailing the fragile truce. The Israel-Gaza conflict stands as a stark reminder of the cost of war. With more than 46,000 lives lost, millions displaced, and billions in construction, the numbers paint a bleak picture of suffering and devastation. The ceasefire offers a glimmer of hope, but its success hinges on more than just words. It requires a commitment from all sides to address the underlying causes of this decades-long conflict. The world watches and awaits, hoping that agreements mark the beginning of lasting peace, not just another pause in an unending cycle of violence.
Away from Israel and Gaza to South Sudan, the police there have imposed a nighttime curfew following violent protests in the capital, Juba, that escalated into looting of Sudanese-owned businesses. The curfew, starting at 6 p.m. daily, was announced Friday by Police Chief Abraham Manyuat on state television as new demonstrations erupted in Juba and other cities. Heavy gunfire was reported on Thursday as security forces were deployed to curb the unrest. Protesters vandalized and looted shops owned by Sudanese nationals in several neighborhoods, prompting police to fire warning shots to disperse the crowds. The protests were sparked by outrage over reports of South Sudanese civilians allegedly killed by Sudan's armed forces, the SAF, in Wad Madani, the capital of Sudan's El Gezira state. Graphic videos of the killings circulating on social media have added to the tensions. Police spokesperson Colonel John Kasara Koang Niel assured that Sudanese living in South Sudan would be protected, warning that looting and attacks on their property would not be tolerated. The violence highlights growing tensions between the two neighboring nations as thousands of South Sudanese remain stranded in conflict-stricken Sudan. Now let's join Emmanuel Fashemi for sports news.
Super Eagles team big coach Daniel Ogumodede has voiced the team's displeasure following the unexpected postponement of the 2025 Championship of African Nations CHAN. The tournament was originally scheduled to take place from 1st to 28 February 2025, but Patrice Motsepe, president of the Confederation of African Football (CAF), announced on Tuesday that the competition would now be played in August. The Chan Nations Championship is for players playing their club football in the continent of Africa. Nigeria is in Group D alongside defending champions Senegal, Congo, and Sudan. The competition will be hosted by Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. Meanwhile, in a recent development, the Nigerian Premier Football League (NPFL) has experienced a major setback as the league is now ranked 13th among Africa's football leagues, having fallen out of the top 10 according to the latest standings. This decline has great implications for Nigerian football clubs as the country have lost their slot to present 4 teams in CAF competitions. Previously, the NPFL was allocated 2 teams in the CAF Champions League and 2 in the CAF Confederations Cup. With the new rankings, only 2 teams will now represent Nigeria, the league champions and the winners of the President Federations Cup. Egypt currently tops the rankings with Morocco and Algeria occupying the 2nd and 3rd position. South Africa's Premier Soccer League (PSL) ranks 4th, while Tunisia completes the top 5. Super Falcons striker Francisca Odega has confirmed her exit from CSKA Moscow after a successful 3-year stint at the Russian women's club side. Odega, who joined the Moscow-based team in 2021, played a pivotal role in their triumphs, helping them secure 2 Russian Cup titles, a Super Cup, and 4 Russian Super League silver medals. Reflecting on her time at the club, Odega expressed delight of playing for the Russian-based women's club, which she described as an unforgettable and successful experience. She played 4 times for CSKA Moscow, scoring 29 goals and providing 20 assists. And that is sports. I am Emmanuel Fashini.
Before we go, let's take a look at how an overhead conversation on an aeroplane changed Brighton Zambese's life. The former technician is now one of Zimbabwe's pioneering black soldier fly (BSF) maggot farmers, rearing the flies to produce affordable chicken feed for farmers.
Basic farming, it is the farming of flies, the black soldier fly. I started basic farming in 2018 by researching. It took me the whole year researching basic farming. Then in 2019, I started basic farming. Usually they love to hide their eggs. This is a very, very sensitive insect. It's a very, very sensitive insect. So they lay eggs in the cardboard boxes. So from this side, we come to the growing area. When we leave our tray with eggs, we leave it for 4 to 5 days to hatch. After hatching, we will come to see things like this. This is what we call BSF maggots. Besides teaching people about basic farming, I also sell chicks. I also send seed to Botswana as far as Botswana, Mozambique, and South Africa. From 7 days going up, it will be ready to feed our animals, either our chickens or our pigs or anything that we need to feed. This is a free feed. Come enjoy and make your own feed at no cost, only labor you need on basic farming. And this is protein, 4% and above of protein content. Insect is a future for our food security. I think we all know through our climate changes and what's happening to the world. I think insects and animals are the future.
And with that, we wrap up Trust TV News Hour. Do not forget to follow us across all our social media platforms and join our YouTube live stream for more news programs and documentaries. I am Sumaya Abubakar. Thank you so much for watching and good evening.